It's been a month since the exhibition opened up in Ballarat, and I'm just trying to put myself back amongst those paintings and what was going on at the time I painted them, and what what my response was when I saw them hung eventually at the gallery. Of course, there were only a couple of paintings that were done in 2019, and they were the two larger paintings of the group of figures walking, and then the solo figure walking. And thinking back in retrospect, the exhibition seems to relate really well to what's happening now with the coronavirus. All the single figure paintings were done since the start of this year, almost since the 1st of January, I guess. I think is when I started working on them. And in fact, that was at that time the virus was taking hold, or had already taken hold in China, and was starting to sort of infiltrate other parts of the world. If I was clever enough, I would have been conscious of that at the time and thinking, well, I'm going to paint all these figures in isolation, which they are. But that wasn't the case. But retrospectively thinking about it, as a thematic sort of condition of the work, the painting seemed to fit very well with this sense of social isolation, which for some reason was in my mind at the time. Was that I wanted to take the figures that I usually paint in groups and put them on their own, surrounded by a non-existent landscape, really. It was a sense of getting rid of any extraneous recognisable qualities and just focusing on the individual. And I think that's, when you look at it now, that's what we're all doing. We're all we're trying to negotiate those around us, and we're also trying to negotiate ourselves. And I think we're all coming to reflect very heavily back on what life is for us as individuals. So, I wasn't clever enough to be thinking of this at the time, but it's just a retrospective thought that I think if people do have a chance to get back and have a look at this exhibition, I'm sure those thoughts will be front of mind. So this is a studio with many years of accumulated work, and over here is the large mirror that I work from a lot of the time for posing, and also just for looking at the paintings in reverse. Map drawers with loads of prints and drawings, and a typically messy studio desk where things are just flung about the place. And this is where I spend most of the time, against this bench here with tubes of paint that I can't identify a lot of the time, and a glass palette, and many rags, which are absolutely indispensable in the studio. I've laid out some of the many sketchbooks that I've got, which go back many years. Some of them show early ideas for sketches. Some are life drawing sketchbooks. Some are paintings done out in the landscape, and some are interiors. They range from fairly large pen and ink drawings to gouaches, pencil, watercolour, pen and ink, and really it's a matter of just drawing whatever's around you a lot of the time. And I see that as a way of sort of keeping my hand in a sense. And I've sort of religiously done sketchbooks for the last 40 years or so. This painting here is one of the works that I had in an exhibition last year. And it's where I started this notion of using the single figure and getting away from the groups of figures that I usually paint. So I really enjoyed just seeing what happened, and I ended up with probably a half a dozen, sort of portraits of invented people, really. And that's what I continue to do with the current exhibition on at the Post Office Gallery. So at the start of this year, I determined to do another lot of paintings. I didn't want to use the same work from last year, and I managed to get another half dozen works done for the show. So the exhibition up at Ballarat unfortunately closed after a terrific opening, but it was closed within a week, which has been the case for probably hundreds of exhibitions all over Australia, all over the world probably. So that's pretty unfortunate. But I thought the exhibition sort of cohesively worked very well, starting with a couple of large paintings, one of a group of figures, which is typically the sort of work that I do. But then the people were scaled down, or the amount of people were scaled down into individual characters, and they sort of emerged without me really thinking about it too much. You know, I was able to just let it go and sort of invent the characters, and they took on a life of their own. And I called the exhibition The Messengers, probably for that reason, really, because I felt as though every painting had its own message to send. Every character had its own life, and it was able to sort of put across something to the viewer.